Has this ever happened to you? It's your day to go into the office and you set your alarm, you turn it off, and you're just laying in bed for another minute, waiting to awake with the day and be ready. But then you accidentally drift off to sleep and you wake up 30 minutes later and suddenly you have to rush around to get ready to get out the door because you're going to be late. And there's a tiny chance that you won't be if everything goes perfectly for you. And so you wake up, and instead of greeting the other people in your house with a warm good morning, you shuffle around with your head down, trying to get everything done as fast as possible, grumbling if anybody interrupts you. And you finally get out the door and you're driving, and everybody who turns or doesn't drive exactly the way that you want, you're like, hey, you're in the way. What I have to do is way more important than what you have to do. And you don't necessarily say that out loud, but you're thinking it to yourself, right? Like, why is this person driving so horribly and slowly? I'm trying to get to work and they're in my way. And then you finally get to work and you're impatient with everybody on the way in, and you feel really flustered from such a rushed morning. And you're just a little bit on edge and not quite on point for the whole rest of the day because your morning got started so rushed and urgently, and you didn't really have time to get locked in and focused for the day that you had ahead of you. Now, how different does that look if you wake up an hour earlier and you have plenty of time to get ready and get into the office and, I don't know, eat breakfast, do whatever you do in the morning, take a nice shower, and the day feels just so much different that way. Having that extra time to get to where you need to go gives you a lot of leeway and naturally makes all of your interactions just a little bit more patient. And patience can make just a huge difference in your life, right? In the small things. Instead of always being really stressed about which lane you're supposed to be in at the traffic light because you're always rushed to get where you need to go, you can just stay in your lane for a while, not needing to pass all the cars, knowing where you're going. You know, hey, you have to turn right in a mile, but this person in front of you is going really slow. That's okay. You can just stay behind them. I know, it's crazy. In a day where we can pick up our phone, pull it up, and access just about anything instantly, it seems really insane to have to wait for anything. And because we have instant access to everything at our fingertips, our patience is really worn down. There's not a lot left because we haven't needed to flex our patience muscle, right? We haven't needed to work it out like we do the rest of our body when we walk or go to the gym or anything like that, right? You can grow your patience just like you can grow so many other things, but it's kind of atrophied because it's one of the things that we need to work on the least, especially when compared to previous centuries and millennia, right? People in medieval times did not have the ability to take something out of the freezer, stick it in the microwave, hit a button, and 5 minutes later they could eat whatever they wanted. It wasn't even 30 years ago where to get information on something, if you had a question, you couldn't just pull out your phone and look it up and settle the debate right then with somebody. You had to go research it somewhere. You had to go to the library or pull up a dictionary or find somebody who is an expert in that field and ask them. And now we can do all of that instantly. And so it's no wonder that we don't have any patience left. If you remember in the listening video from a few weeks back, I said that the supply and demand for listening is really good right now because nobody's listening. And so when you are listening to somebody, they recognize the value of that attention that you're giving them. Similarly, patience is in high demand and low supply because patience, like listening, affects other people. They go hand in hand really well. They really complement each other excellently. When you're in the room with somebody patient, you feel just a little bit less hurried, a little bit more centered. You feel like you can take the space to do the things that need to be done rather than rushing around trying to get everything done like it's the last minute. And that's when often mistakes get made. And so instead of having all of those silly mistakes because you're rushing all the time for everything, you can slow down a little bit, be patient, take your time, focus on it, and the results over time are going to be much more magnified because the quality of the work was better, and then other people are going to be able to be more centered and patient and have those same characteristics as they see you doing the same thing. Whether it's talking to a client who just really isn't getting it, and you, instead of getting really frustrated and going, oh, why can't you get it? I've explained it a million times ago. I understand it's confusing. Let me know where you're getting tripped up, and you can be patient and walk through it. And often the people that are thorough and need that kind of extra explaining in order to really get a concept are going to be the most loyal And when that light bulb goes off, it's going to make such a huge difference to them because of that patience that you're able to display. So what are some ways that you can be more patient? How do you grow in your patience? We know it's really valuable and it makes other people feel really good. And when we're patient, we're less stressed, we're less hurried, and we can rest and we can just be. But how do we do that? If you want a simple but maybe challenging way to grow in your patience, just take your phone. This thing that gives us instant access to everything is always barraging us with things and never letting us slow down. And you just put it in another room for an hour a day. And I know that might sound crazy, but you have other screens in your house that you can use if you really need to look something up online. But not having your phone go off every time that there's a notification or a text or who knows what else, just separates you from that dopamine rush that makes you think that you need to be doing everything all the time, and just separates you from it just a little bit. And then you can also try to be 10 minutes early somewhere. Instead of leaving when you think you need to, be ready 10 minutes early and leave, and you can wait in the parking lot for an extra 5 minutes. Instead of being 5 minutes late, you're 5 minutes early, and that gives you a little bit of time to decide whether to go in and save a seat, or to show up early, or to just wait in your car for a couple minutes. And like I said, it gives you space to just be. And usually I'd give more examples than just putting your phone away for an hour or leaving 10 minutes earlier than you think you need to. But honestly, if you can do that with any sort of consistency, you'll be so much better off than most people in flexing your patience muscle. You're going to be so much less hurried than most people, and also be able to find other ways that you might be feeling a little bit rushed, and figure out ways to be more patient in those things. Figure out new practices that you need to do, new habits that you need to do to flex that patience muscle, given the lifestyle that you have, or the work schedule that you have, or the stage of life that you're in. So pretty simple this week. Try leaving your phone in another room for an hour every day, and just show up places a little bit earlier than you would, including work. If you work remotely, get to your desk 5 minutes earlier than you would need to. See how your body reacts to being there, being in the space, not having to stress about the time, and see what it does for you. Until next week.